What's good in the hood? In this video, I'm going to be looking at the two rumored super fights that have been circulating around the web, and I'm going to give my 2 cents as to why I think one is more deserving than the other. If you like this video, drop a like. Without further ado, the first rumored fight, Yuri Prohaska versus Khamzat Chimaev. This would be at light heavyweight. Khamzat would be going up to go for a double belt status, presumably for a vacate belt, with Alex Pereira being rumored himself to moving up also to heavyweight to get his third belt against Cyril Gane, most likely an interim, but it could be also for a vacant belt, depending on Tom Aspinall's loopy eye syndrome. I love Tom. But nonetheless, my 2 cents, I think Chimaev is reaching for the stars. He is not deserving of this opportunity yet. I don't think Pereira is doing much better, but at the end of the day, I think he has a lot more merit to go pursue a third belt than Khamzat to chase a second belt. And I don't even have to really give a reason, but I will. But Dana White himself, the big man, the guy who, although he claims in his legal proceedings that he doesn't make much matchmaking, he still seems to give a good indication of what the company as a whole is going to do. And this is what he said about Khamzat Chimaev this weekend when asked.
We've seen Khamzat Chimaev fight at welterweight. We see him fight at middleweight. Is he someone that if he says, hey, I want to fight at light heavyweight, we'd see him fight at light heavyweight?
I'd like to see him defend his title at
Hold the phones. That is like what I immediately thought when these rumors coming out. Khamzat Chimaev has won the middleweight belt, and it was an amazing performance. Probably the most dominant performance in 2025 in all time in any title fight. He won 25 minutes of the 25 minutes of the fight, maybe lost a minute of it near the end. He cruise controlled DDP. It was a long time coming. He had the health issues, moved up in weight class because he never fought for the welterweight belt, yada, yada, yada. So it was a crowning moment for him. But he hasn't defended the belt. And there's really only one guy Conor McGregor is like really the only case of someone that won a belt and then went and fought someone else right afterwards or just didn't defend it. For the most part, you win the belt, you got to at least have one stamp of approval. Ilya Topuria, obviously the one of the more recent examples of he got that good defense against Max Holloway, then secured his legacy at featherweight, and then they allowed him to go up to light heavyweight, especially with the conundrum going up there. So Dana shut it down.
Had to wait first. I'd like to see him defend his title before he talks about jumping around from, you're going to keep going up in weight divisions without defending. Yeah, I'd rather.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing, though, is now he's actually going to talk about Alex Pereira, which I agree with. Let's hear it.
Alex Pereira teasing potentially going up to heavyweight. Do you want to see him compete at heavyweight, or do you want to see him defend the light heavyweight title in his next match?
Well, he's one of those guys that always steps up, does whatever.
Yes, Dana White is going to go on limb and say he's a company man. He does what he needed to do in the past, and they, for lack of better words, love that.
We need him to do whatever that guy wants to do. We would work with him.
All right, and let's go to good old Tapology because it does its job. The reason why Dana is siding with a Pereira jump up, not just because, again, he would be making history with 3 belts. The fact is, this guy has done a lot for the UFC in such a short time. The most simplest metric to look at is his activity. 2 times in 2025, 3 times in 2024, 3 title defenses in 2024 against some decent competition. 3 fights in 2023. 3 fights in 2022, 3 fights in 2021. Well, 2 of those were glory, but you get my point. He fights frequently, and the fact that most of his fights have been for the belt, challenging or otherwise, that even adds more pressure. So he's doing 2 to 3 fights per year at 5 rounders against top 5 opposition. On the flip side, Khamzat, let's see, he's fought once in 2025 for the belt, once in 2024, once in 2023. And then 2 times in 2022. So we'll give him throw him a bone there. But I mean, look at this. Cancel belt. Nate, he missed weight by, what was it, like 7 pounds that fight. Paul pulled out. Robert, I believe that was on Chimaev's issue. He had the recurring COVID issue. Cancel belts with Leon. The point is, he's been inconsistent. He's had the weight miss was, I think, the biggest asterisk. It's kind of like they didn't punish him like they did with Armand, but it was so embarrassing where they were giving you a freebie with Nate Diaz and you show up like 7 pounds overweight. Like, it's so much weight that they can't even get mad at the fact that Nate didn't want to take that fight. ... So he's inconsistent at times, and he doesn't fight frequently. And on top of it, he hasn't defended the belt. Alex Pereira, sure, he hasn't defended the belt since winning it, but before that, he had three title offenses, then lost to Ankalaev. So he's already established a legacy at light heavyweight, showed his consistency there, and like I said, beat some of the top contenders. So there's that argument too. But more so if you look at the actual divisions these boys are in. At middleweight, and you can go check out my video I just posted about Sean Strickland and his big win at Houston this weekend. Sean Strickland, not to mention a few other roaming names, is a great fight to put against Khamzat Chimaev for his first and presumably only title defense at middleweight. They have bad blood. They're former training partners. They don't like each other. You got that Patriot versus, Chechen dictator tension going on. They should book this. Like, this is something in it. And let's be real, Chimaev, this is still a very winnable, easy fight, I would say. I would easily pick him over Sean Strickland, even though it will be entertaining if Sean can, potentially stop a takedown and get Chimaev a little tired. But the point is, he has, I think, a clear contender. If not him, then Nazardine Imanov, the Frenchman, I can never say his name. And on the flip side, light heavyweight's a very interesting case, because in the case for Pereira, he's top three biggest names, and the heavyweight division is probably one of the weakest divisions outside of maybe, was it bantamweight Whitman? This is like the weakest division, and it does not help by the fact that Tom Aspinall has no clear return date, which means even if you don't vacate the belt, you don't have anyone holding the helm over it. And since John Jones is F this man over for the last year and a half through no fault of Tom's own, other than just trust in the system, this division is very weak. You don't have a defending undisputed champ, uncertain future. And other than that, there's a lot of flubs and chubs in this division where you just don't feel like it can be, sustainable. So having Pereira move up to challenge him would be a really nice just way to add credibility to this division. Pereira, I feel like, would fit very well into it just with his frame. He's already weighing like 240 in the offseason right now. And him versus Sirlegan, I think, is a pretty marketable, fun fight. Presumably it's going to be striking, and it's probably going to lead to a finish. And the extra asterisk to this is the fact that, and I feel bad for this guy, because as a guy who likes to value the importance of this being a sport, not necessarily always a business, they should run this back as a trilogy, but it sometimes in the case of business, it's just not meant to be. If Tom Aspinall was still, alive and could see, and I feel for him, man. I got fucking thick ass glasses, so I feel for you, buddy. If Tom Aspinall was still healthy and he had, let's say, beat Sirlegan, maybe they wouldn't have done the Pereira, they wouldn't have pushed it because they don't need it necessarily. But in the case where the heavyweight division's just so weak right now, they're probably thinking, what is the gain for having Ankalaev versus Pereira 3? Does it establish who is the better man? Yes, because they're 1-1. First fight was 50-45 Ankalaev, and the second fight he got finished in a minute and a half. But the reality is Ankalaev is just not a big enough name. He's not enough draw to. It's not like in the case where you have Merab Peter in that trilogy. It makes sense, and Merab has established his fan base, and he's a lot more entertaining now. It just doesn't feel like they think Ankalaev has enough credibility just with the fan base and just with general business to do that fight. And it actually stinks too, because the fact is that Ankalaev versus Yuri would actually be, or no, Ankalaev versus, well, Yuri too, but Ankalaev versus Chimaev actually would kind of be a fun fight, because Ankalaev does have that modest wrestling base. But the fact that he's not even in this rumor and they're putting Yuri, which I like Yuri, he's one of my faves. The fact that Ankalaev's not even getting considered for a rumored vacate belt shows how low he is on the totem pole, which is why he's actually rumored to want to go up to heavyweight anyway. Probably to chase Pereira, but also because, again, heavyweight's such a weak division that anyone could actually easily get into a title fight probably by the end of 2026. But that's my 2 cents. Chimaev, he needs to get one title defense. The man fights so infrequently, and it does not help that we have, Ramadan coming up, and he refuses. Unlike my boy Bilal will actually fight during Ramadan, so I'll give him his 2 cents there. He gets a lot of hate, but the bully does fight during Ramadan. This guy won't fight Ramadan, so he's not going to fight till like the summer. Like I said, he hasn't fought since August, so I don't know if we're going to see him 2 times in 2026. Pereira, yeah, he hasn't fought since October himself, but he's been pretty consistent. And he took that time off, like I said, because it was a tough loss. And he just, Chimaev might have more followers, but I think Pereira is just generally speaking a more, because he fights more consistently. That's why he's probably better for business. Not to mention you're guaranteed exciting fights. And in the Paramount era, Pereira is going to be really, really good for getting new subscribers. So let me know what you think. Like I said, like this video if you enjoyed any portion of it, and drop a comment below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Should they book both these fights? Should they book neither of these fights? What do you think? What do you think should happen? And yeah, let's see how this plays out. I think we should know more hopefully by the end of next month.